afternoon, everybody. My name is Christy, and today we're going to be working on some very basic hip and shoulder openers. It's a quick 15-minute class, so please come to a seated position. Please sit comfortably and place your hands over your knees as I have done here, and just kind of work out a few little kinks. We have a few moments before we begin. You can mimic what I'm doing or do your own thing. I love getting my chest open because that opens the lungs, allows more breath in, gets my spine a little bit lengthened, and I like to take in my surroundings. Now we'll come into a downward facing dog. Take your time here for a moment just to move around, get acquainted, stretch things out, breathe. Breathe so that your breath is the very first movement of like any action in any of my classes. Always, always, always the breath comes before anything. So breathe and then move. Roll your back and come forward into a full plank. Hang out here for a second. Maybe move your hips side to side. I love that because it stretches open the side bodies. Press your fingers through the mat as well. Don't let any distractions distract you. Back to downward facing dog. Okay, lift your heels, bend your knees, keep your tailbone lifted high. Bend and straighten your knees. This feels so good for your hamstrings, very strengthening for your feet as well. Bend your knees and hover them down above the mat, and then slowly move back into a downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up to the sky for three-legged dog. Right leg up, stretch it out. You can keep your leg straight or you can bend your knee, whatever you prefer. Just mess around here. Feel your way through this position. Butt cramps are totally normal. Now bend your knee up to your chest and come down into a pigeon position. Now try to keep your head lifted in this. I like to do that. It's nice for my hips, but if you want to already bring your head down, go for it. We are going to go there eventually here. So this class is a very straightforward, simple class. So I just want you to feel yourself in this class. So be yourself, do what you want to do. I'm not going to be super strict with you. We're not doing anything that's like dangerous, so please just feel yourself. I want you to feel good. Okay, gingerly lift yourself out of this, back to downward facing dog, stretch and breathe. Back to plank, come all the way down to the mat, and lift your chest and your head high. Breathe into your sternum to get those lungs open. Try to keep your shoulders back, press your fingers through the mat, and then lift your tailbone and move back to a child's pose. You can keep your feet tucked or untucked, up to you. Gaze forward or forehead down, up to you. I love to use my fingertips here because it helps me to lengthen certain parts of my back. Inhale up to all fours, and then back to downward facing dog. We'll move over to the other side, so lift your left leg up, please, and just feel yourself here. Bend or straighten your leg, move things around. Have fun. How do your hips feel? Remember, your breath is your boss. It is the first action of any movement. And then we're going to bring that left knee up into our chest and make our way into a pigeon on the other side. And do as you wish on this side as well. Remember, the breath is the boss here. So breathing is actually the first action because if you don't breathe, your muscles are going to kind of tighten. And trust me, there are times when maybe you should hold your breath. But this is a time for you to really let your breath move through your tissues, which is actually a meditation that I like to instruct on quite often, is imagining that your tissues, like imagining them, first of all, like a sponge or something, and that you're actually breathing life into those tissues as you're trying to open them or move them or lengthen them or shorten them, whatever you're doing. And you're just wanting to expand those muscles and get them actually bigger. That's actually kind of the focus. It really helps. Whatever it is you're working on, envision that tissue and breathe into it. And then please lift yourself back up to downward facing dog. Take a moment here in your downward facing dog. And slowly lift your heels up and start to baby step your feet forward to the front of your mat. Go slow and try to keep your hands glued to the mat the entire time if you can. Take your time with this beautiful little stretch. Bend your knees if necessary, whatever you need to do. You can bring your hands to your shins, or you can keep your hands down and halfway lift to lengthen the spine, breathing into your chest and gazing forward. Turn your tailbone up. Bow your head one more time. And then inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Back bend if you choose, just to open your chest up. Kind of out of frame there, sorry. And exhale, swan dive fold back down to the mat. And step or hop back to downward dog. I did a nice little downward dog squat there. Coming forward into a plank, chaturanga, and upward facing dog. Nice little refresher there. Inhale, lift your right leg up, and this time actually bend your knee. Lift up through the knee, bring the knee up to your chest, and then you're going to step your right foot forward here, and I demonstrate you can actually grab your leg and pull it forward with your hand if you need to. And we're in a low lunge here, just stretching out the front of the left quadricep with a hip flexor. And then move the hips back. Now watch how we do this. So you're going to flex your foot and you're going to turn your toes up. What I'm demonstrating here is I'm magnetizing my heel to my sits bone and to the left knee. So you dig, we'll go over it again. I didn't take much time there. Inhale, rise all the way up. You can back bend here, lift your arms up, and just feel yourself. Reach your arms up, and then reach them forward and bring your arms or your hands down to the mat on the inside of your right foot. And I'm preparing to do a bit of a twist here. So you can keep your elbow down or you can put your hand down and you're just gonna back bend over to the left. And then come right back into that position. Lift your hips up and step back to downward dog. Sorry for that quick transition. Take this class a few times and you'll figure out what I'm doing here. And we can vinyasa through here into a plank chaturanga, upward facing dog, and then back to a child's pose. Feet together, knees apart wide, gaze forward or put your forehead down and reach your fingertips forward. Trust me, all of this yoga, you're not going to get it the first time if this is your first time. It just takes time to figure things out. On my end, as far as teaching goes as well. Okay, so come forward onto your belly. And then lift your shoulders up and reach your hands behind you and see if you can clasp your hands behind your back or just reach your fingertips back. You can keep your head down or lift your head up. You can point your feet and lift your legs. Most importantly, just stretch out your shoulders. Bring your hands back forward into chaturanga, lift up to a plank. Downward facing dog, and onto the other side, left leg up, definitely bend the knee. Flex your feet. We're going to slowly draw that left knee up into our chest. And then we're going to step the foot between the hands. You can grab your leg and pull it forward into a low lunge. Stretching out the front of the right quad now and the hip flexor. Breathe into this. Envision these tissues opening. And then move your hips back, flex your foot, spread your toes, micro bend the knee, and then dig the heel into the ground and magnetize it towards your pelvis or your right knee, just in this general direction. And you'll get quite the hamstring stretch. Gaze forward, lengthen your spine and reach your heart forward and breathe and dig the heel in. And I like to move around a little bit. It kind of opens the stretch up a bit more. And then leaning forward and lift your hands up to your hips. Back bend if you want, or just reach your arms up. Inhale real tall here. Reach your hands forward and onto the mat on the inside of your left foot, and we'll prepare for our twist. So my elbow's down, but you know what? You can just put your hand on the mat and then lift your left arm up and see if you can open your chest up. Breathe into your heart and reach your heart forward. See, I've transitioned here now. I'm on my hand. So just definitely do what feels right for you. Just play around here. This is not a competition. This is not about being perfect. This is more about feeling yourself. Your hands back down. Lift your hips up. Get a little stretch here with your legs straight. And then we'll step back to, turn over to the left side of your mat. Keep your legs apart wide with feet pointed forward. Tailbone up. Reach your hands forward. This is kind of like a wide-legged downward dog pose. And I'm just going to move my hips side to side. This is a great like morning class or like after work class. Just breathe here and just feel what your tissues and your bone structure is doing. And you can move your hands to your ankles, the outsides of your ankles right now if you'd like. For a deeper fold, the elbows kind of bent up with the tailbone pointed up. Try to straighten your knees, lifting the kneecaps. And just fold forward. If you want to bring some more twist into it, bring both of your hands over to the right side of your mat, the back side, in front of the right foot. But keep the left foot down when you do that. And then switch to the other side and the same thing. So keep the right foot down while you reach over to the left. And transition back to downward facing dog, please. Yum, yum, yum. Oh, the sun is changing here. You can see the sun is starting to set a little bit. And there was a storm rolling in. Inhale, moving forward to a plank. Spread your fingers wide. Reach your heart forward. Upward facing dog. Skipping the chaturanga because we're getting tired now, aren't we? Breathe. Bend your knees back to child's pose and rest however you would like right now. Take a moment for your hips. Breathe into your belly. Your low belly. Like let it expand in this position with your knees apart wide, feet together. And just breathe into the belly. That's going to help your low back quite a lot. Place your arms wherever you'd like. Just chill here and try and melt down in between your hips. Just do the best you can. And just kind of move however feels good to you. And we'll come back up to seated. And that's it. That is it. Thank you so much for joining and taking this class with me. I had a lot of fun making it, and I hope that it was beneficial to you. Take a moment to feel the difference, how you feel now versus when you started, and to appreciate the alignment you just gave yourself. Yay, everything feels better. Sat Nam, y'all. Sat Nam.